was reborn on the day my sister was diagnosed with breast cancer. In my previous life, it was on this very day that I urged my sister to undergo surgery as soon as possible, which made her resentful. She bound a system and transferred the pain of cancer onto me. Later, she underwent chemotherapy and took anti-cancer drugs without any regard for the consequences. She remained completely unaffected. While I suffered from the side effects, my hair fell out, my body grew weak. I became incontinent, was carried into the hospital, and ultimately tortured to death by the pain. When I opened my eyes again, I saw the bullet comments. This must be the fool who's taking the fall for the female lead. Right, that's great. No need for breast cancer surgery. And the female lead remains a complete woman. Exactly, the supporting female character is really problematic. The female lead is the chosen one, yet she's advising her to have surgery. I think she's clearly up to no good, deliberately trying to separate the male and female leads. 1. Baby, my precious baby, don't cry, Mom and Dad are here. My mom pushed me aside and hugged the dazed Tao Yudi. Tao Yudi had just received the test results. After being held in my mother's arms, she pouted and looked longingly at the person behind me. Liao Yifan pushed me aside and held Tao Yudi tightly in his arms, treating her as carefully as a long-lost treasure. The people in front of me were my husband and my sister. Watching their affectionate display, I wasn't heartbroken. Instead, I was pleasantly surprised. I was reborn. In her previous life, it was on this very day that Tao Yudi, after being diagnosed with cancer, firmly refused to undergo surgery, believing that without one of her breasts, she would no longer be whole. I urged her to have the surgery, as it was the only way to survive, and after the removal, an implant could be placed inside, which wouldn't affect anything, but she accused me of talking without understanding her pain, saying that recovery with an implant would be slow and painful. If she didn't even want the surgery, how could she endure such suffering? My words provoked a strong reaction from her, and I wonder if it was because of that advice that she decided to transfer the pain of her cancer onto me. Don't be afraid, Bauer. Breast cancer is nothing, you can be cured with just surgery. Just like in the previous life, my mother patted her back to comfort her, but she broke free from my mother's embrace, emotionally agitated. I won't have the surgery. Cutting off a breast is too ugly. I don't want it. Without breasts, what kind of woman am I? My parents have always doted on Tao Yudi, so upon hearing this, they could only look at me as if seeking help. Yuji, please persuade your sister. Liao Yifan was looking at the diagnosis report and discussing with the doctor the possibility of recovery without surgery. This is impossible. Moreover, your wife's condition requires the removal of one breast. Breast preservation is not an option. The doctor's words silenced the previously noisy office. Tao Yudi stopped making a fuss and looked shyly at Liao Yifan, who coughed lightly into his hand. She's my sister-in-law, not my wife. The doctor remained silent. He pulled me over from the doorway. This is my wife, Tao Yuji. Gigi, what do you think? In this situation, would you recommend Yudi undergo surgery? For a moment, everyone's gaze was focused on me again. Just as I was about to answer, bullet comments appeared before my eyes. 2. Is this the fool who took the misfortune for the female lead? Great, she doesn't need surgery for breast cancer. And the female lead remains a complete woman again. Exactly. The supporting female character is really problematic. The female lead is the chosen one, yet she advised her to have surgery. I think she's clearly ill-intentioned, deliberately trying to separate the male and female leads. Do you have to remove the breast for breast cancer? That's terrifying. The people advising the female lead to have surgery are simply malicious, but in the female lead situation, surgery is necessary. So the author gave the female lead a golden finger. Golden finger, recalling my past life. This was indeed a golden finger. This system transferred all the side effects onto me. I lost all my hair, became incontinent, and wasted away to skin and bones. Yet the hospital examination only concluded that I was physically normal. I couldn't even get medication to relieve the pain. I begged Tao Yudi to let me go, but Liao Yifan and my parents thought there was something wrong with my head. The doctor has already examined you. You don't have cancer at all. It's just stress. Stop pretending to be sick to gain sympathy. My parents scolded me for being vicious-hearted. Your sister is in such a state, and you're still here causing trouble. When I gave birth to you, why didn't I just drown you in the toilet? under the halo of the female protagonist. I was tortured to death, but Tao Yudi thought I was useless for not living a little longer, not hearing me speak. My mother urged me again. Looking at my parents' hopeful eyes, this time I slowly shook my head. We should, of course, respect the patient's own wishes. If Yudi doesn't want to, we shouldn't force her. She's right. Once the breast is removed, a woman is no longer complete. With technology so advanced now, breast cancer is just a minor illness that can be cured. 3. I understand why my parents and Liao Yifan all want me to persuade Tao Yudi. There's a 5-year age difference between us. You could say I practically raised her myself. An elder sister is like a mother. My parents were busy with work, and my grandmother was lazy and careless when taking care of Tao Yudi. She would mix formula with boiling water and rinse bottles with dishwater. Because of this, Tao Yudi ended up in the hospital many times. Every time she was hospitalized, my parents would argue. They would blame each other for not earning enough money and demand that the other take care of her. I was afraid, and often cried softly behind their backs, and at such times, they would turn the gun on me. If you were more obedient and took care of your sister, Mom and Dad wouldn't have to work so hard. Back then, I took the blame for my sister's illness. I'm sorry. It's all my fault, Mom and Dad. Please don't argue. I often wake up startled in my dreams, tears soaking the pillow. Then I skillfully roll out of bed to prepare formula for Tao Yudi and change her diaper. Sometimes I feel that children can drain one's energy. Otherwise, how could Tao Yudi become more adorable and fair-skinned with each passing day, while my dark circles grow as large as a panda's? At an age when she's just learning to control her bodily functions, I'm already showing signs of becoming a resentful woman. Every time my parents come home from work and play with my little sister, I walk out of my room with my hair disheveled and a gloomy face. My mom gets startled and says, "Why do you look so resentful? What's with this act?" My dad also loses his appetite and points to the kitchen, saying, "Go make formula for your sister. What do you even do all day? Just freeloading, huh?" After I finish feeding her and washing the bottle, I return to the dining table, only to find my mom already clearing the dishes. "Didn't you eat?" My mom asks, puzzled. "Why didn't you say so earlier? Let me heat up a steamed bun for you to have a quick bite." For 3 long years, my mother would always forget that her eldest daughter had to feed the younger one and had no time to eat, always forgetting to save food for me. At first, she would feel guilty, but as time went on, she grew impatient. "Can't you save your own food? Do we have to chase after you to make sure you eat? Tao Yuji, you're not a child anymore. Do you still think you're a baby?" Oh, she forgot. My grandmother only took care of the children during the day and never cooked. The meals every evening were prepared by my mother after she got off work, and I was not even 10 years old yet, barely able to even turn on the gas stove. After work, my mother would hum a tune and come back with a bag of groceries. While washing the rice, her brow would relax, and she would murmur to herself, "1.5 scoops, just enough for 3 people, don't make too much, leftovers breed bacteria." I cautiously asked, "Mom, could you share a bite of food with me?" My mother immediately frowned and said, "I'm your mother, of course I'll give you food." Seriously, in videos, other people's 6-year-old children can already cook by standing on a small stool. Why can't you do anything and just eat without contributing? I felt extremely ashamed. Since I was little, my mother has always told me to be good. Not knowing how to cook meant I wasn't good. Not knowing how to take care of my younger sister meant I wasn't good. And even our family's lack of money was because I wasn't good. I must be good, even better, and definitely make them proud. So I started learning to cook, and whenever I had time after school, I would go collect bottles. I was also very good at taking care of my younger sister, who has always listened to me since she was little. I was in charge of her daily life and studies. Now when my parents talk about me, they say, "Our Yuji is truly a blessing. She has never given us a moment of worry since she was little." Then they quietly tell me, "Don't get proud, keep it up, be even better and more obedient." Yet, Tao Yudi was clearly disobedient. She was physically weak but full of mischievous ideas, often causing chaos at home. Yet our parents never said she was naughty. They said, "It's good to be a bit mischievous. Such a child is clever," unlike our eldest, who has become dull from studying too much. The year I started university, I fell in love with Liao Yifan. He admired my gentleness and independence, saying I was well-behaved and a very good girl. I like it when people say I'm well-behaved. So Liao Yifan is very, very good. I attended university locally, and during breaks, I often went home. Tao Yudi would hop along behind me and Liao Yifan. We would stroll in the park, and she would eat cotton candy behind us. We went to watch movies, and she would sit between us eating popcorn, occasionally discussing the plot with us. For a long, long time, I suddenly felt that Liao Yifan's gaze had lingered on her for too long, but he still liked me. After graduating from university, we rented an apartment, and he would praise me. Gigi is so well-behaved and virtuous. With you taking care of the home in the future, I feel at ease. I was deeply moved and was about to speak when he glanced at Tao Yudi, who was sitting on the sofa watching TV, and added, "Unlike someone who is lazy and idle all day, just waiting to enjoy the fruits of others' labor," he said, bringing out the washed grapes from the kitchen. "Kyoho grapes, your favorite." Tao Yudi saw the grapes and her pouting lips relaxed. "Brother-in-law is still the best." I felt a little scared. I don't know if it was because of this bunch of washed grapes, or the fact that the rice jar at home was always half empty, but in any case, I brought up marriage with him. 5. Gigi. "What are you talking about?" Liao Yifan couldn't believe his ears. He frowned at me. "She's being unreasonable, and you're adding fuel to the fire. This is cancer, and she could recover after surgery. Why aren't you persuading her?" "But you've already tried to persuade her, and she wouldn't listen." "Making the patient feel at ease is also a way of caring for her," I refuted with sound reasoning. For a moment, they all fell silent. Is this woman crazy? Why isn't she following the plot? If she doesn't persuade the female lead to have the surgery, and the female lead softens her heart and doesn't bind the system to her, isn't it all over? Cancer can kill. Oh, so the bullet comments actually know that cancer can kill people. I brought Tao Yudi home, repeating the words from her past life. The patient's emotional state is the most important. Rest at home, keep a good mood, and the illness will get better. Oh my God, I really can't take it anymore. At first, I felt sorry for the female supporting character's fate, but now it seems she brought it upon herself. The female lead has cancer, and she's not even urging her to stay in the hospital. Female lead, please carry out justice soon. I can't stand this female supporting character anymore. She deserves it that neither her parents nor her husband loves her. Someone like her should just be a catalyst for the male and female lead's relationship. My mother chattered non-stop, coaxing her all the way, calling her sweetheart and darling over and over, until finally her face darkened. "You will have this surgery, whether you want to or not. If you keep being stubborn, I'll have your father knock you out and carry you to the hospital. Anyway, you'll be under anesthesia for the surgery, so you won't be able to resist then." Tao Yudi raised her head, her dark eyes fixed unwaveringly on my mother, with a chilling coldness in their depths. Heartache. The female lead must feel so helpless. This bizarre family, you have no idea what cards the female lead holds. Only the male lead truly loves the female lead. I laughed. After all, only what is absolutely foolproof can be called a trump card. 6. Actually, I have some dark thoughts. When Tao Yudi started to resent my mom, I darkly wondered if she would change her mind and bind the system to my mom instead. I wanted to see if she would still remain emotionally stable like she advised me in my previous life when the needles were poked into her. The next morning, Tao Yudi agreed to go to the hospital for treatment, but she would only accept conservative treatment, or chemotherapy, targeted therapy, anything as long as it didn't involve surgery. My mother was very happy, thinking that her daughter had finally become obedient. When she undergoes chemotherapy and feels the pain, she might think that surgery would have been better. The family once again accompanied Tao Yudi to the hospital. This time, I didn't go. I was afraid that if I went, she would bind me to the system. Secondly, I still need to earn money. Over the past few years of marriage, Tao Yudi said that since we live close to her university, she has stayed at my place. My mother was also very happy and put me in full charge of Tao Yudi's daily life. She really costs a lot of money every month. Aside from her fixed university expenses, she also buys expensive cosmetics and clothes. Even so, she still feels hard done by. My roommate's bags all cost 5 figures, and I can't hold my head up carrying a knockoff worth a few thousand. While they were gone, I went to Tao Yudi's room and gathered some clothes she doesn't usually wear, then listed them all online. At least I can recoup a little money this way. What is the female supporting character doing? Why is she selling the female lead's things? This doesn't match her loving sister persona outside. Is she dropping the act now that she thinks the female lead is done for? Don't worry, everyone. Once the female lead goes to the hospital for treatment and the system binds to the female supporting character, she won't have many years left to live. By then, all these things will be returned to the female lead. I glanced at the bullet comments and went to the hospital for a full body checkup. Just like in my previous life, there were no issues with my body, and there was no way to tell if I had been bound to a system, but the words from the bullet comments hung over my head like the sword of Damocles, making it impossible for me to relax, until one day, I suddenly lost control of my bladder. 7. This is Tao Yudi's second chemotherapy. Liao Yifan reports to me every day about Tao Yudi's treatment progress. Therefore, he took annual leave specifically to stay by Tao Yudi's side. My parents were very satisfied and called to scold me. You raised Yudi too. What could be more important than your own child? Is it really necessary to earn that little bit of money, from childhood to adulthood? I had too much to say. In the final days of my previous life, I lived in a nursing home. My parents refused to visit me, saying I was just being difficult, wasting money on nothing, and that I should die outside and not come home, and my husband was cheering that Tao Yudi had undergone several rounds of chemotherapy without any adverse reactions. The one who is truly ill is still bravely fighting the disease. She is courageous and fearless, never complaining of pain. Meanwhile, you, a healthy person, are trying to feign illness to attract our attention. He is very disappointed in me. I am disappointed too. How could someone who once had eyes only for me now refuse to stay even for a moment? At the end of my life, I shaved my head, but he still said I was putting on a show. When I opened my eyes, my colleague had taken me to the hospital. Great, just great. The female antagonist is reaping what she sowed. I'll just quietly watch as everyone who treats the female lead poorly gets their punishment. The doctor gave me a full body checkup. Strange, all the indicators are very odd. Besides the digestive tract reactions, there's also damage to the liver and kidney functions. It's as if you've undergone chemotherapy, but you clearly aren't sick. My hands and feet were ice cold, the pain from my past life still vivid before my eyes. How could this be happening again? I had already been going along with her every wish. I rushed recklessly into Tao Yudi's hospital room. Why did you transfer the pain of cancer onto me? Tao Yudi, I'm your sister. Why would you do this to me? I completely broke down, my thin, bony hand gripping her wrist tightly. Tao Yudi's skin was still as smooth as porcelain, her complexion rosy, unlike that of a sick person, especially her hair, thick and jet black, exuding vitality from head to toe. What madness has gotten into you? Liao Yifan suddenly appeared and pushed me away. My body was already very weak, and with his push, I fell to the ground. Liao Yifan didn't expect me to be so weak. He raised his hand to help me up but noticed the hair accidentally stuck to his hand. It was fine, soft, and dry. 8. I touched my own hair, and almost as soon as I did, strands of it began to fall out in clumps. What's going on with the supporting female character? How does she know about the system? Can she see what we're saying? So what if she sees? It's just the struggle of an ant. Ha 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 ha. This is too ridiculous. The top of her head is already bald. I panicked and touched the top of my head, where the scalp was already exposed. Liao Yifan couldn't believe it. He called a doctor to examine me thoroughly, but they found nothing wrong with me. Then why is she losing her hair? Liao Yifan was still holding that clump of hair in his hand. Could it be stress? The nurse said uncertainly from the side. Liao Yifan was a bit doubtful, but had no other explanation. He regained his composure. Are you so stressed from work that you're taking it out on Yudi, Kiji? Don't make a fuss. Yudi is sick and needs someone to take care of her. I just happen to have annual leave, so don't be jealous for no reason. I stared blankly at Tao Yudi. Why? Tao Yudi turned her face away, swallowing hard. What do you mean why? You suddenly went crazy, and it scared me. You know why. I stared at her. Why did you bind the system to me? I'm your closest person. Why would you do this to me? At this moment, I brought up the matter of the system, shaking her shoulders desperately. Tao Yudi played innocent. What are you talking about? What system? you've been reading too many novels. My parents also thought I was sick, and in the end, I was kicked out. I wandered aimlessly on the street, after vomiting several times and having nothing left to throw up. My pants were soaked. Everyone on the street looked at me as if I were a lunatic, and I gave up on myself. How can I save myself? Do I have to remove my entire breast? But if I remove it, will I still end up with the same outcome? I shouldn't have been reborn. Why did heaven let a useless person like me be reborn? While crossing the street, I accidentally bumped into a girl's chest. She covered her chest angrily and yelled at me, "Are you blind? Can't you see there's someone here?" I stared straight at her, and after a long while, I burst into wild laughter. The girl was so frightened that she fled in panic. 3 days later, Tao Yuti underwent her third chemotherapy session. This time, the pain was so unbearable that she not only lost her hair and became incontinent, but her teeth also became loose. 9. After being turned off for a week, when I turned it back on, the overwhelming flood of messages nearly crashed my phone. Before I could even look, Liao Yifan called. "Was it you? You Dai said it was your doing. What are you trying to do? Are you trying to drive your sister to her death?" The comments were also strange. Why has the female supporting character disappeared for a week? Why wasn't this explained in the plot? And during the time she was gone, the female lead started having post-operative reactions, but the female supporting character was completely fine. My hair is starting to grow back. I touched the new hair stubble sprouting from the top of my head and showed a strange smile. What are you talking about? I recently had a minor surgery at the hospital and haven't fully recovered yet. I haven't even appeared in front of you all. Liao Yifan's voice paused, and then Tao Yuti's voice came from the other end of the phone. "Brother-in-law is just overly concerned. Ahem, could you come to the hospital? It's been so long since we've seen you, sister." She acted cute to beg me. Before this incident happened, no matter what it was, as long as she acted cute to me, I couldn't refuse. After all, she is the child I raised. I went to see Tao Yuti. She lay on the hospital bed, her face deathly pale. She glanced at my expression and cautiously handed me a glass of water. "Are you thirsty? I don't have any drinks here, so you'll have to make do." She looked at me expectantly, practically writing the words, "Something's wrong," on her face. I lowered my gaze, looked at the white powder at the bottom of the cup, suddenly smiled, and turned to look at my parents. "Will you let me drink it too?" "Drink quickly. This is the medicine given by the system, which can strengthen the connection between the female supporting character and the system. After drinking this medicine, the pain of cancer cell metastasis will be borne by the female supporting character." But this seems a bit cruel to the female lead. There were bullet comments speaking up for me, but they were quickly silenced by the tide of attacks. Liao Yifan stood at the door, blocking the way, nervously staring at my water cup. My parents lowered their heads, not daring to meet my eyes. "It's just a cup of water. If you want to drink it, then drink it." I didn't deliberately keep them in suspense and drank the water in one go. When I reached the bottom of the cup, the bitterness of the white powder made me frown, but I still drank it, watching me finish the water. Tao Yuti let out a long sigh and nodded to Liao Yifan. "Tell the doctor I want to start chemotherapy immediately." 10. Chemotherapy is usually administered at intervals of 2 or 4 weeks. After binding me to the system, Tao Yuti always pushed for the shortest possible interval, insisting on chemotherapy every 2 weeks. Unfortunately, the results of chemotherapy were not very good, and the doctor earnestly advised her to undergo surgery each time, which would also mean less suffering. However, she said, "Chemotherapy is great. There are no side effects at all. Haven't you checked my body after each session? I'm even healthier now than before I started chemotherapy." On this point, the doctor was also very surprised. After all, the side effects of chemotherapy are obvious to everyone, especially since she had already undergone 2 rounds of chemotherapy. It was impossible for there to be no symptoms at all. Fortunately, during the 3rd round, she experienced severe adverse reactions. Otherwise, the doctor would have had to study her case. Her request was naturally rejected by the doctor. The doctor earnestly tried to persuade her. "Miss Tao, your illness can no longer be delayed. Since chemotherapy has not been effective, you should undergo surgery as soon as possible. That way, there is still hope for survival. If you wait until even surgery can no longer cure it, it will be too late." Tao Yuti remained firm. She leaned weakly on Liao Yifan's shoulder. This current situation is just a mistake. It might be because I didn't eat well this time, or I didn't rest properly. Next time, I won't have any reaction to chemotherapy. As long as I continue with chemotherapy, the breast cancer will soon be cured. I want to prove to the world that breast cancer can be cured without surgery. The doctor hesitated, then advised me again, "You're the patient's sister, so she might listen to you. Cancer isn't as easy to deal with as she thinks. And there's no telling what complications might arise along the way. If treatment can start early, it's better to do so as soon as possible." I shrugged. There's no helping it. My sister has always been stubborn. Since she says chemotherapy is fine, then let's go with chemotherapy. As for the special medications, don't worry about the side effects either. Prescribe them all. She can handle it. My parents agreed too, saying I had finally done something good, once again. I became the good daughter of the family, and Liao Yifan even gave me a rare smile. That evening, after Tao Yuti had fallen asleep, he took me out for dinner. "Lately, the family has been so busy with Yuti's matters that we've neglected you. Tonight, let's have some time for just the two of us." My parents agreed as well. My mother hugged me reluctantly and said, "I feel like I've let you down, and I'll make it up to you in the future. Take care of yourself. When you and Yifan have children someday, I'll help take care of them for you." As she spoke, tears welled up in her eyes. Everyone was looking at me with a strange expression, as if I would disappear if they looked away for even a moment. I laughed and joked with them. "Why are you all staring at me like that? It's not like I'm about to die." As soon as I said that, my parents exchanged a glance and fell silent. Seeing the situation, Liao Yifan quickly put his arm around me and led me away. 11. I actually understand. It was around this time in my previous life as well. The side effects of chemotherapy tormented me so much that I couldn't sleep through the night. Under such torment, I often felt somewhat disoriented. During my final days at the sanatorium, I often dreamed of my mother holding me, just like when I was a child, with our heads pressed together and her tears falling on my face, my own flesh and blood. "How can you make me choose, in the dead of night?" The sound of heart-wrenching sobs leaves me dazed. Only then did I realize that those weren't just figments of my imagination. It's just that compared to Tao Yuti, I'm dull-witted and sensible, the obedient daughter in the family, the one who would never hold a grudge against her family no matter how she's treated. The palm and the back of the hand are both flesh, but the back of the hand always protects the palm. The fair, delicate, and tender palm is always cherished by everyone, while the back of the hand, which can shield from wind and rain, is often overlooked. But I am not willing to accept it. Liao Yifan took me to a food stall near the hospital. "This is the only place open at this hour. Please bear with it for now. Once Yuti recovers, we'll go out for a proper meal together." Hearing his words, I only felt a sense of irony. Look, even if it's a reward, it has to wait until Tao Yuti is present. This seemingly mutual love has long been in name only. It's nothing but a real joke. The male lead actually started pitying the supporting female character. After all, she is his first wife and has to take the fall for his white moonlight. It's understandable to feel sorry for her. I dislike this part the most. The male lead is like a central air conditioner, spreading warmth to everyone. I sat on the plastic stool, quietly watching the bullet comments. Liao Yifan was in a great mood tonight. He kept eating lamb skewers and didn't forget to encourage me to eat more. Since Yuti fell ill, we've truly been through so much. We used to think cancer was far from us, never expecting it to be this close. Fortunately, it's almost over. He took a sip of wine and breathed a sigh of relief. Feeling fortunate, he sat there, endlessly planning our future. But as I listened, I no longer felt the same emotion as before. "Liao Yifan, let's get a divorce." 12. The late-night food stall was still bustling with noise and excitement. Liao Yifan took the skewers handed to him by the waiter, didn't catch what I said, and asked with a frown, "What?" He was confused and thought he must have misheard, impatiently tugging at the collar of his shirt. "Tao Yuji, did I hear you correctly? I was just planning our future with you, and you want a divorce." He thinks he has me all figured out. What trick are you trying to pull this time? Isn't it just to get my attention, just like when you pretended to be well-behaved as a child to win over the adults? Too bad I'm not your parents. I won't ignore others just because you put on an act. If you mention divorce, then it's truly over between us. The supporting female character finally has a conscience and returns the male lead to the female lead. Anyway, she's about to die soon. The male lead should just kick her to the curb. I really can't stand this female supporting character. She's always causing trouble. If you hadn't married the male lead first, the female lead wouldn't have lost her lover. You've deprived the female lead of love. Exactly. Those who aren't loved will always be outsiders. He threw the question back at me, staring intently into my eyes. I also looked back at him seriously. This man, who once said he felt sorry for my situation and who stood up to my parents asking them to treat us equally, actually had always been pitying my younger sister. Let's get a divorce. The house was bought before we got married, and I paid for the renovations. Let's use the savings to settle it. I'll take 2/3 of the savings. You don't have any objections, do you? He shrugged and agreed to my request. The next day, when we went to the Civil Affairs Bureau, he said to me, "Even though you're heartless, I'm still kind-hearted. Even though we're divorced, I'll still treat your family as my own. If anything happens to your sister in the future, I'll step in. After all, in her heart, I'm already her family." And I looked at the balance in my card and replied dismissively, "It's fine. Even if you end up marrying her, I won't say anything." His pupils flickered, and he uncomfortably averted his gaze. 3 days later was the day for Tao Yuti's next chemotherapy session. In recent days, she had started taking anti-cancer drugs recklessly, increasing the dosage of all the medications prescribed by the doctor, but for some reason, her body was growing weaker and weaker, and the side effects were driving her almost insane. She started frantically calling me, asking me to come over because she wanted to see how I was doing. 13. I'm currently in a meeting with the company leadership. The company has been doing well over the past 2 years and is planning to open a branch in Haicheng. My boss thinks highly of me and wants to take me along. In my previous life, around this time, I was in a poor mental state, both physically and mentally exhausted, so I turned down this opportunity. Later, the branch's performance soared, while the main company's performance declined year after year. When the leader asked me, I agreed without hesitation. After everything was settled, I called Tao Yuti back. "Sister, why haven't you been coming to the hospital to see me lately? I heard from Yifan that you divorced him." "Oh no, he told me to call him that. You don't mind, do you? After all, the two of you are divorced." I was impatient with her beating around the bush. "I don't mind. Is there anything else? I haven't been feeling well lately and want to go to a major hospital for a checkup. If there's anything important, let's talk about it after I get back from the hospital." Tao Yuti completely let go of her worries, breathing a sigh of relief over the phone. "Oh, I see. Then take your time with the treatment, but I have chemotherapy in a couple of days. Can you come?" "Of course I can." After hanging up, I blocked all my family's contact information. In a couple of days, I'll be heading to Haicheng to start a new life. Who has time to care whether she lives or dies? 14. Tao Yuti's tumor is highly malignant and the lesion is large. The doctors assessed that she could not preserve her breast. In my previous life, after I died, I briefly stayed by Tao Yuti's side. After her last chemotherapy, her condition became uncontrollable, and the cancer cells had spread throughout her body. Even surgical removal would have been too late. She was in immense pain and, in the end, to suffer less before death, she bound the system to Liao Yifan, who once said he was willing to share Tao Yuti's pain. Finally experienced the agony I felt before my death, and he begged Tao Yuti to let her go. But this transfer of illness only ends with death. It only stops when the person it's transferred to dies, and this kind of binding also has a limit on the number of times it can be done. It's impossible for Tao Yuti to bind endlessly, and Liao Yifan is the last binding target. On the day Tao Yuti went for chemotherapy, I broke my phone card and boarded a plane. After the plane landed, I received the news that Tao Yuti's cancer cells had spread, and the doctor had issued a death notice. What's going on? What exactly did the female supporting character do? Is the system malfunctioning? That can't be right. How could such an invincible setting still fail? I hadn't had time to pay attention to the bullet comments, but they kept chattering non-stop in front of my eyes. I straightened my chest and smiled happily. "Curious, aren't you?" "Of course, the system can't make mistakes." But I had breast augmentation surgery. The implants interfered with the system's binding process. Since it couldn't find a binding target, Tao Yuri could only suffer the side effects. Now, even if she tries to switch to another binding target, it's already too late. The barrage was shocked, and then the words almost hit me in the face. What does the female supporting character mean? Just a breast augmentation broke the system. Wait, how can the female supporting character see us? Didn't we just spoil it for her? I smiled as I watched the barrage of comments talking to themselves. 15. After moving to the new city, I never paid attention to Tao Yuri's situation again, and the barrage, having been hit too hard, never appeared again, afraid that saying anything more might affect their precious female lead. I had a period of stable days, until one day at work, I saw Liao Yifan waiting downstairs at the company building. I don't know how many days he hadn't rested well, but his hair was greasy, his clothes were wrinkled like pickled vegetables, and he had stubble on his face, looking as sloppy as a homeless person. When he saw me appear, his eyes lit up. Gigi, you've finally appeared. He stepped forward, grabbed my wrist, and started pulling me outside. Yuri is in a very bad state right now. Come with me quickly to see her, she just wants to see you one last time. Seeing that I wasn't moving, he grew even more anxious and pulled me with greater force. Hurry, aren't you the one who cares most about your sister? I carefully looked at his sunken cheeks and sparse hair, then smiled. Why are you in such a hurry? To have me go back and save your life? He awkwardly avoided my gaze. What are you talking about? I just wanted you to meet Yuri. I pried open his palm. This is only the beginning. In a couple of days, your body will grow increasingly weak. Besides the side effects of chemotherapy, you'll continuously supply nutrients to her body. You'll slowly and despairingly watch yourself wither away, your heart and lung functions gradually failing until you suffocate to death. In my past life, I went through exactly that, battling the side effects of chemotherapy while helplessly watching myself become emaciated like a dried-up corpse. I wonder if the person who later collected my body was scared. Liao Yifan's terror was visible to the naked eye. He pleaded with me, as long as you go back, everything will be fine once you return. Yu Dai said she's only temporarily bound. Once you go back, there will be a solution. I couldn't help but laugh at him. It's already bound to you. Unless you die, her system won't change hosts. Upon hearing my words, Liao Yifan panicked. Gigi, for the sake of our past as husband and wife, please help me. I know you managed to evade the system. Can you tell me how you avoided the system binding? Oh, so now you're not worried about your dear jade butterfly anymore. Weren't you concerned that the surgery would leave her incomplete? If I tell you, your precious jade butterfly won't be saved. He gritted his teeth and continued to beg me, but I need to be alive to worry about her. If I'm gone, there's nothing left. Please. You can't just stand by and watch me die, can you? I paused and looked him up and down for a long moment. Liao Yifan felt his scalp tingle under my scrutiny. What's wrong? I didn't hide it from him and quietly shared my method with him. In the end, I hissed, I think the only way to save your life in the end is to force Tao Yuri to undergo the surgery, so she won't cause trouble again later. Liao Yifan nodded with a pained expression, and under my watchful gaze, he walked away, looking back every few steps. A man getting breast augmentation. Pfft, I covered my mouth, unable to stop laughing. 16. Work gradually got on track, and after closing several big deals, my boss promoted me to supervisor. At the celebration banquet, a barrage of comments that I hadn't seen in a long time popped up. Hey, aren't you curious about how your ex-husband and sister are doing? It's not that, but your move. Wah wah wah, my perfect male lead. The barrage of comments was filled with wailing. Without me having to ask, they started talking over each other. After Liao Yifan returned, he originally intended to persuade Tao Yuri to undergo surgery, but she insisted on refusing and even emotionally blackmailed him, saying he had to take responsibility for her. Liao Yifan was so angry that he couldn't sleep for several nights, and finally found a good plastic surgery hospital. At first, when he said he wanted a breast augmentation, the hospital thought he was crazy. Later, he paid extra for the surgery, and the people in the hospital started looking at him differently. Faced with breasts several times larger than before, Liao Yifan was initially uncomfortable, but over time, he actually started to feel good about them. Moreover, because he paid extra, the hospital took the initiative to upgrade him to the Bust-Eat package. He couldn't go out, so in the end, he had to disguise himself as a woman, but he looked too rugged. So he had no choice but to continue with plastic surgery. As his appearance became more and more refined, his mindset began to change, and he even considered going abroad for gender reassignment surgery. As for Tao Yudi, once Liao Yifan had some free time, he persuaded my parents to pressure Tao Yudi into having the surgery. At first, my parents were reluctant to force her, but after being persuaded by Liao Yifan, they also feared that Tao Yudi might bind the system to them after the surgery. Tao Yudi's condition did not improve. Moreover, after all the turmoil during this period, the cancer cells spread even faster, and she had already been given a death notice by the doctors. Watching the barrage of comments, I couldn't help but sigh. You can only say, if you don't do it, you won't die. But Liao Yifan, I really didn't expect it. Thinking this, my phone received an unknown call. After answering, Tao Yudi's sharp curses came through, and I quickly turned off my phone. Let us congratulate Tao Yuji on her promotion to supervisor. The leader raised a glass to me. Keep it up, Yuji, I believe in you. I'm saving the manager position for you. Amid the clinking of glasses, the leader winked at me. My heart warmed. Outside the window, the city lights were just beginning to glow. The days that belong to me are still long.